March the 3rd, 2020, as the new coronavirus rips through China and devastates communities in Italy. Dominic Cummings texts Number 10 Communications Director Lee Kane saying the PM, a reference to Boris Johnson, doesn't think it's a big deal. He doesn't think anything can be done, and his focus is elsewhere. He thinks it will be like swine flu. Asked about the message, Kane will later tell the COVID inquiry,
I don't think there was any clarity of purpose, any really serious outlined plan to deal with COVID at that particular point.
March 13th. During a meeting of SAGE, the government's leading scientific authority on the emerging crisis, one scientist writes in his notebook, "We are not ready." A Number 10 advisor leans over to cross out "not ready" and replaces it with the word "fucked." The same day, Helen McNamara, the Deputy Cabinet Secretary, enters Number 10 to tell colleagues, "I think this country's headed for a disaster. I think we're going to kill thousands of people." March 14th. The Prime Minister shares a video on a WhatsApp group of a man using a hairdryer to blow hot air up his nose. The PM asks the Chief Medical Officer and Chief Scientific Advisor if they think the technique might kill COVID. March 19th, Johnson's private secretary Imran Shafi makes a note in a meeting recording that one participant asked, "Why are we destroying economy for people who will die anyway soon?" Shafi will later be asked by the inquiry who made the comment.
I can't say for sure. I think it was the former Prime Minister.
In other words, Boris Johnson. During the same March the 19th meeting, Cummings sends a separate message to Lee Kane about the Prime Minister saying, "Get in here, he's melting down." Cummings then writes, "Rishi back to Jaws mode wank," a reference to the mayor in the movie Jaws who wants to keep the beaches open despite the shark attacks.
Please, gentlemen.
Referring to Boris Johnson, Cummings adds, "I've literally said the same thing 10 fucking times and he still won't absorb it. I've had to sit here for 2 hours just to stop him saying stupid shit." Lee Kane will later tell the inquiry,
It was the wrong crisis for this Prime Minister's skill set.
April 5th, the UK death toll hits 10,000. April 17th, the UK death toll hits 25,000. May the 7th, Dominic Cummings sends a message to the Prime Minister saying that Hancock is unfit for this job. The incompetence, the constant lies, the obsession with media bullshit over doing his job. Still no fucking serious testing in care homes. His uselessness is still killing God knows how many. May 22nd, the UK death toll hits 50,000. June the 13th, in a WhatsApp group between Dominic Cummings, Lee Kane and senior civil servant Simon Case, Case states, "I was always told that Dom was the secret PM. How wrong they are. I look forward to telling Select Committee tomorrow, oh fuck no, don't worry about Dom. The real person in charge is Carrie," a reference to Johnson's then girlfriend, Carrie Simons. Cummings replies with, "So true," and a laughing emoji. Kane writes, "I know. Also, she doesn't know what the fuck she is talking about either. Jesus." July the 11th, Cummings sends a WhatsApp message to Kane and Case about Johnson's performance, saying, "This is in danger of becoming Trump-Bolsonaro level mad and dangerous." 2 days later, Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance notes in his diary, "The ridiculous flip-flopping is getting worse. Number 10 chaos as usual." August the 3rd, the Eat Out to Help Out scheme begins, designed and driven by the then-Chancellor Rishi Sunak. In his written evidence to the inquiry, Sir Patrick Vallance says that had he been consulted, he would have advised it was highly likely to increase transmission. As it was, he was not consulted. Chris Whitty, the Chief Medical Officer, dubs the scheme Eat Out to Help the Virus Out. August 22nd, Dominic Cummings messages the Prime Minister and Lee Kane about Helen McNamara, the country's most senior female civil servant. "If I have to come back to Helen's bullshit with PET, proprietary and ethics, designed to waste huge amounts of my time so I can't spend it on other stuff, I will personally handcuff her and escort her from the building. Don't care how it is done, but that woman must be out of our hair. We cannot keep dealing with this horrific meltdown of the British state while dodging stilettos from that cunt." The Prime Minister does not respond. McNamara will later tell the inquiry why Cummings was so angry with her.
He had, in fact, dismissed a special advisor, and I was insisting on him telling the truth to the Employment Tribunal, and he didn't respond well to that.
The next day, Cummings emails Johnson. The contents of that email are later read out at the COVID inquiry.
At the moment the bubble thinks you've taken your eye off the ball, you're happy to have useless fuckpigs in charge. Leaving Hancock in post is a big mistake. He's a proven liar who nobody believes or should believe on anything. And we face going into autumn crisis with the cunt still in charge of the NHS.
August 26th. In the WhatsApp group between Case, Cummings and Kane, Simon Case writes, "I am at the end of my tether. He," a reference to the Prime Minister, "cannot lead. And we cannot support him in leading with this approach. Government isn't actually that hard, but this guy is really making it impossible." That same day, Sir Patrick Vallance writes in his diary, "PM WhatsApp group kicks off. He is obsessed with older people accepting their fate and letting the young get on with life and the economy going. Quite a bonkers set of exchanges." September the 7th. Sir Patrick notes in his diary, "CX," a reference to the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, "blocking all notion of paying to get people to isolate despite all the evidence that this will be needed." October the 15th. In a WhatsApp group titled Fight Back, Boris Johnson says, "I have been slightly rocked by some of the data on COVID fatalities. The median age is 82-81 for men, 85 for women. That is above life expectancy, so get COVID and live longer." October 28th. In his diary, Sir Patrick Vallance notes, "We have a weak and indecisive PM." November the 11th. Sir Patrick notes in his diary that Simon Case, now the country's leading civil servant, had said, "Number 10 is at war with itself. A Carry faction with Gove and other with Spads downstairs. PM is caught in the middle. He," a reference to the Cabinet Secretary, "has spoken to all his predecessors as Cabinet Secretary, and no one has seen anything like it." 2 days later, Dominic Cummings quits his role at Number 10. 2 days after that, the Prime Minister sends a message to Cummings saying, "This is a totally disgusting orgy of narcissism by a government that should be solving a national crisis. We must end this." Cummings subsequently blocks the Prime Minister on WhatsApp. December the 14th, 2020. In his diary, Sir Patrick Vallance notes what Johnson told him at a meeting earlier that day. According to Vallance, the Prime Minister said, "People in the Conservative Party think COVID is just nature's way of dealing with old people, and I'm not entirely sure I disagree with them." That day, the UK death toll stands at 84,194.